What's up, everyone? I just want to do a quick video. Well, okay, so you'll see the timestamp. It's not quick. I wanted to edit it down, but as I tried to edit it down, I realized it needed to stay in its entirety for it to have the most context, because it's a longer discussion than I thought. When I was streaming, I thought this was really quick. But anyway, it's about Zabu. Primarily, this conversation started when an opponent played Zabu while we were streaming, and I was like, hey, do you guys think that Zabu is something that is on the chopping block in some way, shape, or form? Because we were talking about Hela and all these other cards like Lockjaw, stuff like that for the upcoming OTA, because everyone is so tired of these cards. But I think that's because they're a bit spoiled, which you'll see me talk about a little bit in this discussion. So let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoy. It's a bit of a longer one, and it really means a lot if you actually stick through it and watch it. I think it's a very good discussion to be had. And drop a like, drop a sub. I love you. I stream Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I hope to see you there. Black Swan, probably. Zabu. Do y'all think Zabu's going to get hit? I think it's a possible option. Zabu's a card that's in like every single deck, man. Don't think it's particularly healthy for the game. Ironlight Heading Doom is a phenomenal roll. Probably should retreat, but they don't get the miniaturized lab though, so that's the difference, you know. How would they change it? My thought was make it a 2/3 on reveal, and give it the Black Swan text. On reveal until the end of next turn, your 4-cost cards cost 1 less. Yeah, but I mean, Zabu's in too many decks at this point. Zabu's too good. I mean, maybe, I guess maybe they could wait. I don't like that. I get it. I understand. Well, I kind of expect them to hide whatever they play on Dark Dimension. If it's just Doctor Doom mid, we win mid. And we can still win left with Goliath. Because they can't hit whatever. I feel confident in this. Feel pretty confident. Probably should have played the Martyr on Dark Dimension, but you know, is what it is. Okay, so yeah, we win. We win the game. Zabu on reveal next turn, your 4-cost cards will cost 1 less energy. Yeah, that was the idea. Just give it the Black Swan treatment. I don't know, man. Just Zabu's in too many decks. Zabu's in way too many decks right now. Way too many decks. We know that's Doom. We know that's Doom because if we check here, Ultra Border, it's showing us the Ultra Border. Because it's showing it only shows the Ultra Border if it's public info. This is the only public info we have right here. So you know that this is Dr. Doom. 1,000,000% Dr. Doom. Let's see. Zabu on reveal. Oh, awesome. And none of them are even in the top 3 best decks. Hashtag Zabu alone. What do you consider the top 3 best decks, Lloyd? Are you saying Hela is one of the top 3 best decks based on its cube rate? Because that's not true. It's the top deck based on its play rate. Hela destroy Thanos. Let's take a look. Let's take a gander. Because Hela's not the best deck, by the way. It's straight up not. It's just the worst to lose to. And it's consistent now. It's also the most played deck. By cube rate, okay, let's look. So again, my filters are from 80 to post infinite, 6,000 plus collection level, last 30 days. Okay. Hela's got a 55% win rate and 110,000 games played. It's the most played deck by far. 0.39 is the average. Destroy, 55.5% win rate, just slightly better than Hela, a little bit less of a cube rate. The Beta Ray Bill deck has a better win rate than both of these, a slightly worse cube rate than Hela, slightly better than Destroy. Lockdown has a higher win rate than both of those two decks, and plus 0.52 on 49,000 games played. Okay, this so far, Lockdown has the best cube rate and the best win rate of all these four decks. So at the moment, the number one deck right now is Lockdown. The number two deck, as far as win rate, cube rate average between both of them, is technically Beta Ray Bill over Hela, though the reason Hela has a 0.39 is only because Hela is a 8 cube stealing card. This is better. This is a bad deck. You might steal 4 to 8 cubes off of surprise, but on average it's pretty bad. But you know, its numbers are okay. Another variation of Destroy, whatever. This is the version that I think is the best Darkhawk deck in the game. It's got a 0.40 cube rate, the best we've seen so far. And it's got the Sentry Annihilus hood package with Darkhawk and, of course, Zabu. So, our top 3 decks as far as cube rate goes amongst the top played decks are actually all Zabu decks. Look at that. Would you look at that? And Thanos is way down here. Thanos is still respectable. 0.37, 56%. Cool. Why is Iron Lad not considered a problem then? Because Iron Lad has a genuine risk associated with him. He's overstated. Potentially. He's in every Zabu deck. Yeah, you're right. Here's the problem though. Zabu is the problem, not Iron Lad. Should Iron Lad get reduced? Maybe, potentially. But let's see what Zabu out of the picture looks like first. It is Zabu. It is and always will be Zabu. Zabu is a complete constraint on design. A good example I can give you is Glenn loves the idea and has wanted to for a long time. He stated this in a couple different team answers on the Discord, that he would love to see Valkyrie as a great contender to be moved down to a 4 cost. They like that idea a lot, purely as a 4 cost. They won't do it, however, because of Zabu. And he stated this twice. They will not change her to a 4 cost because of Zabu's existence. They can't allow that to be. They can't allow a 3/3 Valkyrie. That's way too good. Though a 4/3 they'd like to experiment with. Zabu is basically making it so they can't create 4 costs that are good. We already saw the effect of Miss Marvel being so good in these decks because of Zabu. Being able to play her on turn 6 is fantastic. Being able to play her on turn 3 is fantastic. Zabu is the problem. I like Zabu. 4 costs are already amazing. You're absolutely right. They are. But they're even better because of Zabu. Being able to play a 4 cost on 3, like a Darkhawk, Miss Marvel, Iron Lad, those are all amazing turn 3 plays. On top of which, being able to play 2 of them on 6 is equally, if not even better, as good of a play. Zabu creates this issue. Too many decks can run Zabu. You know what makes it really bad? In my opinion, the worst part about Zabu... Is it really this far down? Where'd it go? There's no way. I must have passed it. I must have passed it. There's no way. There it is. Sera Control. This is the worst example, or best example, whichever way you want to look at it, for for Zabu being a little bit of an issue. You can just run all good 4 costs in a list and be able to go Zabu Sera in a control list. You shouldn't be able to do this. Now, is its win rate that good? No. Is its cube rate okay? Sure. It's not putting up insane numbers at the moment. I think it's just because there's so much it has to combat. And honestly, it's kind of a skill issue. If you look at it, it's a hard deck to play. You have to know the meta. You have to know the plays your opponents are going to make. And you have to call your shot correctly with Shang Chi, Enchantress, Shadow King, etc. I like Zabu. I think it's a cool design. It's a cool card. For the longest time, after they changed Zabu from a 3 cost down to a 2 cost, Zabu has been balanced in the sense of much better than his previous predecessor. We've reached a plateau point where I think Zabu needs to be changed again. It's a little bit too much. Think the problem with Zabu, or people's problem with Zabu right now is display Shang-Chi 8? Disagree. Wholeheartedly disagree. I think that's a symptom. I think you're right with that sense that it is a symptom. Moving into 3 costs not be enough? Well, it would kind of invalidate the whole reason you play him. It would make it so that now you're just looking to play Zabu on 3 only for the sake of having Zabu exist to give you 2 4 costs on 6. So I think that would just invalidate the card entirely and make him not ran at all. But Shang-Chi very well might need to be a 5 cost. But I think Zabu shouldn't exist in its current form at the moment. I think it's similar to what was the card they changed for future-proofing stuff? I'm blanking. I'm actually blanking really hard right now. They need to give more value to 2 costs again? No, they don't. No, they don't. They need to not give way too much value to 2 costs. They don't need to do that. When we were in the meta that 2 costs were king, was one of the worst and most complained about metas of all time. Luke Cage, Mobius. Shadow King's already a great answer in a 2 cost. Maximus is a great stat line. Zabu is the best 2 cost play at the moment right now. Jeff is one of the best 2 cost cards or the best cards in the game. Not 2 card tech cards then? 2 cost scaling cards? Cards like Angela? If you remove Zabu, also you look at Elsa. Elsa was broken in her previous state. Angela, Kraven, Elsa. What they need to do is stop giving too much flexibility to the vast majority of decks, and they need to scale down the ability to interact with the, or not the ability to interact, I should say, the ability to abuse large go tall cards. Right now, Thanos and Hela are the biggest reasons for wanting to change that. You could kind of argue She-Not or Haivo, but I think Haivo is one of the more balanced decks. It's good, but you can always beat it. Thanos is too flexible for the most part, mostly because they have all these high cost cards. Cole made the deck so much significantly better. Because you can only Shang-Chi one thing, right? And you're going to be Shang-Chi either Cole or Devil Dino. And then with Kyra down, you can't touch Blob, you can't touch Thanos, can't touch Scar, can't touch Magneto. What decks have more than 0.35 cubes? Let's look. It's pretty much the Darkhawk list and the Lockdown list, really. And Hela is at 0.39. If I do average cubes, I would like... So, hold on, keep all these with a grain of salt because they have such low game numbers. So far the highest one is this Lockdown list with Super Giant as far as play with also like combined with play rate. So, okay, this is the highest. It's Lockdown. It's this Lockdown list right here with 49,000 games played. Okay, that's your first over 10k deck. It's over 49. It's at 0.52, 57.3% win rate. It is a good deck. It is a very good deck. Also, by the way, the idea of wanting better scaling or better 2-cost cards in general, we have them. We have them. Okay? Medusa's fantastic. Silk is still a good card that doesn't see play. Mostly because Silky Smooth fell out of favor. Jeff is still phenomenal. Okay? Lizard is still a good card, in my opinion. All these cards, and Angela is still okay. All these cards get better without Zabu. Truly. Removing Zabu lets people reconsider what they need to be doing on turn 2. And you will see all these cards increase in play rate again. Because you're removing a card that's so integral. Because let me ask you, in a lot of these lists, like, your only other 2-cost card really to see play, I mean, Jeff is just a flex spot, right? But your only other turn 2 play, for the most part, is Medusa. When they slam 4 10+ power cards, 2/5 is bad. Agreed. Agreed. Because Zabu's enabling that, though. Zabu lets them play all these cards that put up so much power. Miss Marvel, Jessica Jones, Iron Lad to hit cards and stuff like that, like Vision, Goliath, Doctor Doom. What's the next highest game? Or what's the next one that goes over 10k? It's gonna be that Darkhawk list. Probably the Beta Ray Bill. No, it's gonna be the junk one. Because that one was at 0.40. Yeah, here it is. I don't know, I think you've got cause and effort reversed here. Or cause and effect, you mean? Or mistaken correlation of causation. Lloyd, I'm telling you, I have seen Lockdown is the best by cube rate, sure. At least in these ranks. Lloyd, I have seen time and time again across Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, this game, of course, being a Marvel Snap. All these games I have played competitively, gone to tournaments, done well enough. They all have run into this problem eventually. Cost reduction, mana cheat, all these cards end up being the problem. And then what happens is they try to do band-aid fixes with bans or nerfs or whatever. And they're like, okay, let's hit the payoff card. Like you're saying you want to hit the 4 costs. There's too many good 4 costs. Okay, let's hit those. And then see that they're still playable when they're actually 3 costs. And then you hit more cards. You move Shang Chi to 5. Cool. 4 costs are still really good with Zabu. Zabu's still the common denominator in all these lists. Lurrus of the Dream Den is a great example of this, looking at Modern and Pioneer for Magic. What is the top deck without Zabu? Yeah, I can check that. I think it's technically by cube rate will be Hela, because it was 0.39. This happens in like every single card game. Lurrus of the Dream Den is a great example in Magic. Hogak was actually a good example as well in Magic and Modern. They banned like 3 different cards. Yeah, it's Hela. 0.39. So Hela is and then Sheena is the one after that, with a little bit better win rate, but slightly worse cube rate. Again, I like Zabu. I think it's a cool card. But it's a 2-cost that reduces one of the best card costs in the game right now. But why is it the best card cost in the game right now? Because Zabu enables it so much. It is such a huge enabler. Do you know why Ravonna isn't nearly as good as Zabu? And it's not even close. It's night and day. Because the cards that she enables aren't good enough. On paper, you're like, wow, Professor X at 4 is cool. Iron Man at 4 is cool. Mystique at 2 is cool. These are all cool. And they can be fun and they can be good. But they do not compare to Miss Marvel, Iron Lad, Darkhawk, Shang Chi, Enchantress. Darkhawk is the only overlap, Lloyd. Darkhawk is the only overlap with Ravonna. The only one for 4 costs. Yes, okay, well, Mr. Negative. But Mr. Negative is a coin flippy deck anyway. That's an 8 cube or die kind of deck. You either win 8 cubes or 4 cubes because your opponent was stupid enough to stay in when you Jane Foster, or you do nothing and you lose. Darkhawk is the only overlap. But it's really just Zabu. Another question for you. Let's look at Darkhawk. I'm curious. How many Darkhawk lists run Ravonna instead of Zabu? Let's see. Zabu, no Ravonna. Zabu. Oh, here's a Ravonna one, but it's also a Mr. Negative list. Cool. Zabu, no Ravonna. Zabu. Oh, here's a Ravonna. The first one. We have one. It's only got 1,000 games played, 55%, 0.32. It's and also it's doing Moon Girl, Quinjet stuff, and Iron Man. It's significantly worse. So we see one Ravonna list through all these Darkhawk lists, and it's another negative one. So really, it's still just one. And we have one more. Very respectable stats off of 1,000 games played. Okay. On a smaller sample size. Here's another one. Just over 50, 0.13. 0.14. On a smaller sample size compared to the ones that have 40,000 plus games played. Without Ravonna in the deck, they have a 5% better win rate and a 0.30 or 0.26 higher cube rate. It's not even comparable. It is night and day. No one is going... Also, by the way, you know what else you see here? I asked if there are any decks that just don't play Ravonna and just play Zabu instead with Darkhawk. None of them do. If you see Ravonna, it's in conjunction with Zabu. Here is the first one that you see that is no Zabu, only Ravonna. The reason being is because it's really a Ronin deck that has a Darkhawk package in it. And it has 0.10 on average cubes. 54.5% win rate. Win rate's okay. Cube rate's abysmal. Really bad. Really, really bad cube rate. Also, I think the idea of combining Ronin and Darkhawk is such a bad idea anyway. This is such a bad idea. Just play a Ronin deck. Or just play Darkhawk list. Don't combine these. They don't synergize well at all. Do you think energy cheat should be eliminated completely? No. No. Sera is an okay card. Sera is a fairly balanced card because it only impacts one turn. Yes, there are caveats. You can play ramp on turn 3 to get into a turn 4 Sera. Sure. You can have Elysium show up. You can have, any of the extra energy locations show up to get an earlier Sera down. But at its base cost, on average, you're looking at a turn 5 Sera, impacting your turn 6. Where Sera is way worse or way more annoying, or I would say way more impactful, is when you have Zabu also there. Zabu makes Sera way worse, and worse, I guess, to go against, a better card, because you're getting double cheat, right? The number one thing people always complain about with Loki was it's the -1 on all the cards. That's still the reason you run Loki, because you get -1. No one's complaining about people playing a 4 cost on turn 3, because people complain about the things that are RNG dependent. The average person doesn't complain about the things that are actually good in the game. You can also do with Sera. Yeah, you can do that with Sera, but you can't do both a turn 3 Miss Marvel, establish that lane, and the 2 6 costs, or the 2 on 6. Okay. Sera was close to Zabu levels before Angela, Elsa, Monkey nerfs. Yeah. But that was when Angela was +2, Elsa was +2 globally, and Monkey was a 2-0. One of the few instances where hurting the cards around Sera was correct. Why can't you just play her on 4 in this scenario? Because it opens up the window to play more cards. It opens up the window to play more cards on 4. You can do a 4 cost and a 1 cost, like Korg, for example. Darkhawk Korg. Also, I'm only using Miss Marvel as an example, as a card you can play on turn 3. It's just that Zabu enables too much. You look at a lot of the decks Zabu's in, the only overlap is the fact that there are 4 costs in the deck. Between Darkhawk, between Mr. Negative, between Lockdown, and Sera Control. Those are all vastly different archetypes. The only common, the only commonality that they share is they have 4 costs. And Zabu makes those decks significantly better. You cannot keep mana cheat in the game for this long at a 2 cost. In what we have established is one of the, if not the best stats, or the best cost in the game is 4. But why is it the best cost in the game? Probably because you can play 5 of them in a single game. The fact that you can play 5 4 costs in a single game with Zabu down is crazy. So something like the first 4 costs of the Beast treatment will solve that all? Probably. I would think so. Making it a one-time thing would probably fix it. Now, would that be a ripple effect and change some other things? It might. You might have you probably still have to hit some other stuff along the way. But I don't know. I just know I've seen this dance too many times, guys. I've seen it way too many times. The decks that perform the best will always be, or the decks that perform the best that have a mana cheat type of card in it, they'll always be like, well, let's hit the stuff around it, try to bring that deck down, and then 3 adjustments later, 3 bans later, 3 nerfs later, whatever the game is, whatever the cause of balance is, they end up looking and going, yeah, it was the mana reduction, I guess. It was the cheat card that was the problem. I guess we should fix that. And then now you have just bad cards at the end of the day. Hey, you know what's a great example? Black Bolt Stature. Black Bolt Stature, now I'm seeing it on screen here, was just really only played for the most part within a Darkhawk deck at its heyday, at its height. And you hit a separate engine, dropping 2 points of power, and now it sees almost no play, and it's significantly worse than it was. That 2 power was impactful enough. Now maybe Black Bolt should be a 5/7, but Stature I think could be a 5/7 as well. Should you still play these cards? I think they're okay, but they can't keep up with a lot of stuff that people are doing. They did kind of die for Darkhawk's sins a little bit there. You could argue. You could also argue that Darkhawk himself is an issue. And I'm more than happy to listen to that. But I will also say, being able to play Darkhawk plus Mystique, for example, which you could do with Ravonna, sure. But that's not the main thing you see in Zabu in general. It's mostly just being able to play Darkhawk plus another another 4-cost alongside of him on 6. It will always be powerful. Or be able to play Darkhawk Rockslide, or be able to weave in, like I said, and play a total of 5 4-costs in a single game. Will always be very, very good. Zabu is also still Series 5. Still Series 5, but has a 33% play rate. Let's see if that's still the case. Yep. Last 30 days, 33%. You cannot look at that and tell me that's not a problem. I'm sorry. I don't care what you think about Zabu. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you you love it. It's your favorite card in the game. That is a problem. That is a problem. The same way that Shang Chi at 40% is a problem. That should not be happening. 33%. Huge problem. Cannot. And having a cube rate of 0.25 and 50% win rate at that high of a popularity rate is also kind of scary. Typically, when you see that high of a play rate, you expect this to be pretty low. This to be pretty low. Because what should happen is you have both good and bad players playing with the card, so the bad players should bring the stats down, and it should even out to a bit lower, because there are typically more bad players than average players than there are good players. But you still have a fairly decent cube rate and a over 50% win rate. Well, I think Shang is, in the sense it's a bad symptom of like the go tall cards. I still think that's a problem. Now, it might be a different problem, but that doesn't all fall on Shang being the bad card. Flexible card is flexible. That's the problem, Lloyd. It's so flexible. It is a 2-cost. Make the best cards in the game better. That goes in multiple different archetypes that have nothing to do with one another except for running 4-cost cards. That's the problem. That's the problem. Everyone hates when secondary tells them how to play the game. That's card games. And everyone hates flexibility. I mean, I think you should have a bit more differentiating factors between archetypes. You shouldn't have all these archetypes running the same card, frankly. At least not you shouldn't have all these archetypes running a cost reduction card. That's how you know a card is too good. Zabu is too good. Zabu is a restraint, or a constraint, I guess is a better way to put it, on card design, for future card design. Now, maybe they hold out and say Red Guardian will save the day. Maybe. Red Guardian can hit Zabu. But then players are just going to start putting Zabu and Rockslide, Korg, in the same lane. Good players will figure out, it's like when you try to preemptively prepare for someone running Rogue, and you put a bunch of your ongoings in the same lane together, so that Rogue has a less chance of making a huge impactful play. Because like Rogue hitting a Zabu later in the game, when you already have like Darkhawk there, is not a big deal. So I don't know if Red Guardian is going to be the thing that fixes it, in all honesty. I know that this is an issue. I wish it wasn't. But you can't have a 2-cost altering mana cheat card in a game that has 12 cards in their deck. You just can't. I think it's beyond that point. And the crazy thing is that Darkhawk decks will still be good. Decks that'll catch a stray bullet will be like the good stuff decks that just run a bunch of 4 costs and then like a random engine like Black Bolt Stature and then Doctor Doom. Those decks will catch a stray bullet and not be playable anymore, I don't think. Or they'd have to adapt to a true curve out deck. Fire Gun, I'd unnerf Zabu back to -2 for 4 costs. Okay, now you're just trolling. No. That'd be insane. That'd be even worse. The only thing that would help is the fact that like it opens up 2 costs again, because this would be a 3 cost. Can't have that happen. It's just a weird spot. But inevitably, this Thursday, I'm sure they're going to hit Hela in some way. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't agree with it at the moment because we have 2 weeks of data and everything is exacerbated by the fact that we've had 2 weeks of no changes and Hela's been a mainstay player in these 2 weeks. And everyone's going to be like, oh my God, this needs to get hit, because contextually it's like, cool, we had a new card come out that was good for Hela and then no balance changes for anything else for 2 weeks. And everyone thinks the sky is falling. Everyone wants a Hela to get hit. I just find that so insane. You need to let metas breathe a little bit. I also think the idea of the constant OTA changes, the constant balance changes in general, 3 a month over 4 to 5 weeks, has spoiled people. I think it's spoiled people's perception of what a meta should be. Because frankly, the vast majority of Marvel Snap players do not come from other games. This is their first card game. And if they do come from other games, they probably come from Hearthstone. And the constant balance changes have spoiled people into they can't function. They can't fathom being in a meta where a single deck is around for more than 2 weeks. They just can't fathom. This is your first card game, Dalek? I think that's the case for most people that play this game. Only played Gwent before this. Another example. Where if you look at like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, you have a meta that exists for months without changes. Months. There are 4 new sets per year for Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! So every 3 months you have a new set that comes out which injects new cards into a format. But in the case of Magic, when you're looking at Modern and Pioneer, there are less cards that are going to be good that get injected into those formats. Yeah, the way you change Hela is probably you limit how many cards she brings back. I think it'd be kind of cool to just, if you just make her bring back the highest power card you've discarded. So like, she's like a Ghost Rider that targets. Well, this change would do 2 things. It would give more reason to run Ghost Rider in these Hela decks. And Hela will still be a fantastic turn 6 play. MODOK is a dead card then? No, he's not. MODOK still sees play in regular discard with APOC and Swarm and stuff. That's where MODOK should live. MODOK shouldn't be just a combo card. Guys, a 6/6 that brings back Infinite is still good. Significantly worse? Yeah, that's fine though. Okay, hold on, Lloyd. You're saying MODOK is significantly worse. I want you to do me a favor. Can you point to me? Can you point out the MODOK in that Hela list, please? Just real quick, just point out MODOK for me. He's in the spotlights this week, though? Sure, but he's not played in Hela anymore. He's just not. Black Knight has taken that role. They would rather have more consistency in their backup plan than just another enabler for whatever. Do Hela decks even run MODOK other than the older Living Tribunal one? Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, it's abbreviated. Okay, let's look at MODOK lists. Okay, you have Hela Tribunal. Then you have a Hela skewed regular APOC list with Corvus Glade. Then MODOK is played in regular APOC. Another Tribunal list. Tribunal. Regular APOC. Regular APOC Hela Carrier. Here's a Hela list, but it has a significantly worse play rate and cube rate, or win rate and cube rate, than regular Hela without MODOK. Regular discard, regular discard, regular discard, regular discard, regular discard, regular discard. The vast majority of decks that see play with MODOK are regular APOC / Hela Carrier discard. That is what you see now. And there's a couple Tribunalists, sure. But as far as like regular Hela goes, the best Hela decks are the ones that don't run MODOK. MODOK's already not really a Hela card much anymore. And frankly, let's look at Tribunal. I want to see if that Tribunalist we saw with Hela is the best Tribunalist. It's not. They're close. 0.20, 0.21, but this one has a better win rate. Though the better Tribunal lists are the ones that run Zabu, my friend. This one runs Zabu too. 15. But I mean, the ones that don't run MODOK. The Zabu lists are better. Zabu and Sera. There you go. MODOK doesn't go well because you either have to run Invisible One or hope to top deck Hela if you're trying to avoid discarding her. Hela is only a problem because too many people playing her now, although I believe the numbers are kind of in decline past days. The hell of his Corvus things won't last. We'll see. I do think they're just going to nerf him. And Lloyd, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm not trying to like be argumentative. I think this is a good discussion overall. It's what happens when people like cards or dislike other cards. I'm just saying. I just think Zabu is an issue. I think Hela is not as big of an issue as people claim to be. I just think it's the fact that we're in a stale meta because we have had no changes in 2 weeks. But Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Lorcana, those metas last months at a time with no changes. I just think we've been a little bit spoiled with all the changes we get in the game. Just a little bit spoiled. You know, it's just too often. I would argue that Destroy is a bigger issue than Hela. Because Destroy is vastly more consistent. I know the numbers are similar, and Hela has a better cube rate. But I think the better cube rate is simply because she is an 8-cube stealer. People stay in when they shouldn't. Do you think it's better to have metas that last months? I feel like that would be too stale. And no, I don't think meta should last months. Not in a digital game. But it's a double-edged sword, right? Metas shouldn't last months at a time, but you shouldn't also panic when they last 2 weeks. You see what I mean? Like, there's a middle ground. I think a meta lasting a month, 4 weeks total, is okay. I think it's okay. It is okay to have a meta last for about a month. It is okay. And frankly, be the change you want to see in the world, my friends. Run different decks. It's like Hela is just the 8-cube machine, and Black Knight's a good enough fallback plan where you're going to see how people run it. Because, frankly, content creators are also to blame. Want to counter Hela? Use a Darkhawk Zabu deck. Yeah, probably. It's a good deck. Frankly, if you want to counter Hela and use a good deck and you're using Darkhawk, you want to play the junk version. Well, it's a counter Dalek in the sense of being able to go as tall as they can. You get Sentry. You sent like Sentry Annihilus is just 20 power right there. Rocks and Leech. That's not what I mean by a counter. You mean like a hard counter? A hard counter is filling their side of the board, locking out locations with Professor X. So like classic junk. Leech is a counter, hitting Hela. You know, Destroy can be messed up by Shang, Shadow King, and Valkyrie. Correct. Well, Valkyrie hitting Deadpool. No, it does set to 3. Yeah, never mind. My bad. But yeah, Hela doesn't have a card you can throw in a deck to stay competitive. Leech is your best answer to Hela for the most part, though that comes at a cost because then you make Infinite playable on 6. So Leech is a double-edged sword. Cosmo is something you could do, but you'd have to have like a deck you're seeking out to counter Hela. So like Goose, Cosmo, and Professor X kind of stuff to just lock out lanes, make it so Hela can't be played in certain spots, or the lanes that she can be played in don't work because of Cosmo. Just mean that's why people aren't as mad at Destroy. Galactus 2. Galactus 2 technically counters Hela, yes. You're right. But at the end of the day, Hela being an RNG machine is what makes people feel bad about her. Even Lockdown doesn't counter Hela, right? You would think it would, but it doesn't, because you can extend into the closed out locations that are stormed or flooded with Hela. I do think like limiting it to either 2 cards that she brings back, and maybe you raise her power up a little bit, her own power. Or what if she like didn't come, like they didn't go get summoned in her lane, right? So like, what if it's max? Yeah, what if it's 2 cards and they have to be summoned in the other 2 lanes? So what if it says, what if Hela said, on reveal, resurrect 1 card in each other lane, and then parentheses max 2 cards. So it doesn't spawn in her lane, meaning the lane she's in she has to win, and then you just get 1 card in each other lane. So she's effectively like a Doctor Doom kind of idea, where you're spreading to 3 lanes no matter what, and it's randomly 2 cards. If you discard like 8 cards, then your odds are worse. I think that's still okay, though. I think that's still... I think she'd still be a pretty decent card even then, though. I'm not going to lie. So my personal choice, if you were to change her, because people don't like the RNG, I think you just raise her own stats a bit and make her a better Ghost Rider. Just reveals the highest power card you've discarded. That's it. That way you can target, for sure, a Giganto, an Infinite, Death, or Magneto. You don't accidentally bring... That also makes Black Cat way worse, but I think Black Cat's a bad card anyway. I think you want to turn up the RNG, not down. Jaws real MVP. More targeted Hela. Jaws MVP. Yeah, Jaw is a card in itself that maybe they want to look at, but I also think Lockjaw is okay. Lockjaw affects a single lane. You can still Shang Chi whatever's in that lane. You know, they can still hit, like in Thanos, you can hit stones. So I think Lockjaw is fine. I think Hela having the ability to go into all the lanes is where she is an issue. And also, Lloyd saying they should up the RNG, not reduce it. I think that's just going to exacerbate the problem. Because the problem people have with the card is the fact that you lose the RNG. It's like when you look at Hela resurrect 4 cards, and you're like, wow, if this one card would have gone in any of the other 3 lanes I won, that feels bad. Right? Where at the very least, if you make her more predictable, then that makes her worse and easier to... It makes her better in some instances, but worse in others. But at least it gives players agency to combat her. So I think that's the reason you want to make her RNG worse, make her more predictable, makes her better in certain situations for people to play. Because again, you don't want to kill cards. You don't want to murder cards. I don't want Zabu to get murdered. I think the Honor Reveal is probably the best way to keep him as a card that you want to play. It makes him a good turn 5 play as well if he's on reveal. You can either ramp into something from 2 to 3 that makes him still good in combo decks like negative, things like that. And you can also just play him with Rock Slide, for example, in Darkhawk decks on turn 5, which gives you access to 2 4-drops on 6. You can still do the Zabu things, right? But I think it just makes him a little bit, less annoying. Hela was almost a meme before the blade change. I think it's also Black Knight. Black Knight's buff gives Hela a very good backup plan. Because, if you get both hits, if you Black Knight Blade hit Infinite, and you have a 420, this is the problem with Hela, I think, the most part, is more so Black Knight. Right? You Black Knight Blade, hit Infinite, cool. Now I have a 420 on 4, and then my Black Cat gets discarded, and then I play Dracula, and then I can just play Hela, bring back my Infinite somewhere, and I still have a 420 that can't be Shang Chi, yada yada yada. It's really good. That's the big issue. It's just its high rolls are really effective. But I mean, it's tough to balance. It's a tough card to figure out. Hela is, again, I don't want cards to get murdered. I do think these are iconic characters, cards that people love. People love playing with them. They love the style. You should never shit on someone's idea of fun. You should never shit on what people like to do, right? Fun is subjective. And encroaching on someone else's fun sucks. But that's what happens in card games. So you have to figure out a way to balance stuff without completely negating someone's idea of fun. Some people love Galactus. It's their favorite card in the game. They love the style. They love the animation. They love the character. They love blowing up the other lanes. Right? And Galactus is in a way worse spot than it was months ago. But, it's still playable to a certain extent, so people can still have fun with their card. It's just not ruining everyone else's idea of fun. Hela should be in the same boat. Hela should be a card that is good, but not something that just says, I win the game, maybe. Yeah, no, I think the win rate... Okay, I want to say, I think Hela's okay. I think Hela is fine. I do think the RNG aspect does suck and feels bad to lose to. So if there's any merit to changing the card, it's not because she's too good. It's just because she's not fun to play against. For the most part. Like Galactus. Original Galactus, I should say. So that's the merit of changing her. I don't think you change her because she's too good. I frankly don't think she's too good, and I'm sure Second Dinner agrees with that stance based on the real numbers that they have for her. Like Leech, but at least Leech is is a safety valve and a necessary card you want to have in certain metas to combat things, to keep things from getting out of control. Hela doesn't really do anything like that. If it's not fun, why? Okay, hold on. It's not fun to lose to on the opponent side. It is fun to play for a lot of people. And also the idea of saying if it's not fun, why are some people playing it? I guarantee you a lot of people that play the deck don't find it fun. They just think it's great to climb with because it's an 8-cube machine. You either retreat for 1 cube or you stay in for 4 or 8 cubes and win. It's good. It's a good effective deck of climbing. The slot machine decks are good to climb with. Living Tribunal is a good deck to climb with. Right? The decks that just steal cubes are good to climb with. Destroy is a good deck to climb with because you might give someone the illusion that they can win. The other day I was just trying to get Conquest tickets and play Hela just to get through it. Yeah. So, reduce the RNG. Make her a bit better of a card with agency. Because again, I don't want to see her get nerfed into the ground where she's unplayable. I want to see her playable. But frankly, I want that card to be more interesting. So I think honestly the best way is make her a better Ghost Rider. Make her like resurrect the highest cost card. I'm sorry, the highest power card that you've discarded into one of the other lanes. So I guess you can keep a little RNG, right? Because it's resurrecting. I don't like the idea people suggested with resurrecting cards only to the left lane or the right lane, because that makes her predictable of where she can go for the most part. And I don't know. We saw the leader thing with the left-right bullshit. Don't do that. That just sucks. It's confusing for people. It's inelegant. It's uninteresting design. It's boring and it's bad. So let's not do the targeted left or right lane bullshit like leader was. It was bad. Just make Hela a slightly better Ghost Rider. Because she should be, because she's a 6 cost. Ghost Rider randomly brings back a card to that lane. Cool, you have a little RNG, but it's specifically that lane and it's a card, so you can have some agency. Just make Hela bring back the highest power card. So if you discard Infinite, you bring it back somewhere. But I think it should be a lane that she's not in. And then maybe bump up her power a little bit. Just a little bit. That way it makes her, you know, a good power play, but not just like, oh, I accidentally won the game. Bring back all discarded cards is a fun concept, though. Yes, she's a fun concept. It's just, you know, she's not as fun for most people to play against. That's why card games specifically are such a hard thing to balance. People should try more things. Absolutely, people should try more things. But the problem is, when you market the game as a short game, like 3-minute games, that's like their biggest selling point, then you attract players that want to play short games. And the people that you attract that want to play short games don't want to put forth the time and effort to play test new decks. That is just how it's going to work. So the burden of getting new decks is laid upon content creators or people that will post them online or whatever. And then the people that want to just play the quick games, which is the vast majority, just end up looking online and playing the good decks, especially in the higher ranks. Because the vast majority of players, everyone trying to play the game, are just going to be in the lower ranks. Between 10 and 60 is what I imagine. Probably the vast majority. If they would ever release those numbers, I'd love to see them. But out of the millions of players that play the game, most of them are on the phone, by the way, and the millions of players that play the game, they live in probably ranks 30 and 40. So they have no reason to go search for crazy decks, right? So the people that are searching for the meta decks, the reasons that you see the 100,000+, which by the way, again, this is all PC, baby. Pretty much all PC. And these numbers represent less than 1% of the entire player base. So, the people that are searching for those decks are the minorities out of the vast majority of players, yet they're the majority of the minority. Does that make sense? The majority of the players that are in, 70s, 80s, 90s, trying to get to post-infinite, they're the minority of the vast player base, but the majority of that minority are the ones that just want the quick, easy decks. They just want... They're like, gimme card. Gimme card that good. I play card. Gimme. I will play deck. I want to climb. And that's what you see the most. The super tiny amount of people that actually playtest give card good. Yes. Exactly. Me want climb. Exactly. Correct. Oh, hello. What do we have here? Yeah. Yeah. Show me Venom. Show me Venom. I mean, they're not going to Venom. They might Killmonger. Yeah, they might Killmonger. Is that Professor X over there? Yondu. Okay. Tuma. Well, we lost 0, unfortunately. So that makes that suck a bit. I think Rhoda doesn't put a poll. 75% said Hela is okay. I guess casual players were more okay with her than core competitive players. Yeah. That's definitely going to be the case. What you got going on over there, guy?
Iron Man.
What you doing? Carnage? Okay. Is that a Venom? Carnage Venom? Yeah. Just have the single card. Hopefully I draw a 1 card. I mean, if I draw a Goliath, I'm pretty happy. Lol. This is hilarious. How do you win? Go Spider. Go Spider the Venom, please.
I am Iron Man.
Go Spider that Venom, baby. No. That's nowhere near big enough. Even with both the Zatuma and Venom dying. Got him. Fucking got you, buddy.
Victory.
Fucking got you, buddy.